you want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me.
What's up, everybody? What's up? Come in, man. Come in. Everyone file in. Obviously, a little bit of time to let it marinate. Let it settle in a lot of time. A little bit of time to settle it out. And last time, said I might go live there today. I do feel like this is kind of something important we need to do with what is really staring down at us. First and foremost, for last night, congratulations to the Washington Raiders. If I didn't say it last night, y'all got to y'all big fans involved. And that dude is a heartbreaker. Like, he's electric now. I'm looking forward to whenever we face y'all next. Looking forward to an opportunity to come back. But man, it's kind of one of those things where it's very, very tough to very tough to realize, man. It is. This is one of those situations that obviously we look at. I think this team was 6-3. They were 2 games ahead of the Buccaneers. They had an opportunity to go 3 games ahead of those things. It pretty much looked like a lock. This team was going to win the division. We had swept Tampa. We we were obviously heading into that second game. We almost smothered. We just like, all we got to do is, and we're going to be okay. Kirk looked like an MVP candidate. Potentially, obviously, we knew it was probably a long shot, but he was certainly looking like a potential comeback player of the year. And everything was going great. Vince was doing their job. And then, before we know it, we're 6-7, a game back of first, and had to pull the plug on her. Had to put Penix in there. So I have said, I feel like after last night, we are a franchise quarterback. Obviously, yes, he's got some things to work on. I think the main thing he's got to work on is just getting acclimated to these wide receivers. Once that happens, and that's why it honestly hurts. For a lot of this season, they were trying to train. Listen, our head coach said that he was trying to protect Kirk Cousins from the media, from absolute evisceration, and that Kirk would turn it around. That's why I don't think they benched him after that. Because they didn't want the storyline to be Kirk Cousins losing to his former team, and that caused him. attention. That's why they gave him the But when we saw how he went out there and hit, and we had to win in spite of him, it became clear and obvious that Penix gave that game last night. Penix did everything you could ask him to do to give the Falcons just a chance to win that game. What did he have the best performance from a quarterback ever? No, I want to get that clear. Yes, he's got these every quarterback, but when it mattered most, fourth quarter, Michael Penix clutched and had an opportunity. And this is what last night. If you were watching, I was very somber. I was very shout out to the people who came through in the late night watching. But it was very somber. Right now, I can't help but just be angry. Yes, a lot of people were angry after the game. I'm angry right now because of where we were on the season. We were in 2 games in first place of this division, and now we are staring down the barrel of missing the playoffs for a 7th straight year. This time after spending $180 million on a quarterback, spending a top 10 pick on another quarterback, the $180 million seemingly now is going to go to absolute waste. There's going to be a huge dead cap hit this offseason. I don't even think a lot of this fan base is considering in terms of how the Falcons are going to be able to add to this roster this offseason. Guys that I think we put faith in to show up are draft picks we have seen this year busted out. For instance, Troy Anderson, someone who would have been very valuable last night in stopping Jaden Daniels, bust because your best ability is your availability. He's not available on the field, so he is a bust. Man, listen, this last night, this was a Terry Fontenot built team, and they went out. And now, ultimately, can you blame them for the loss? So the reason why we lost this game is because of Raheem and the fact that he did not call those timeouts. And one of my biggest keys heading into that game was you have to be smart. You have to be smart because whoever makes the mistake late. Now, I was saying this throughout the game. I'll follow me on X. I said this. Whoever makes that big mistake late is going to be who loses. And the Falcons not calling the timeout with 33 seconds left was the big mistake. Because if you call that timeout, then you have the ball at around, 45-yard line. You're pretty close to victory. You could have, then at that point, you can do all sorts of stuff. Call a timeout with, let's say 30 points. You have all the time to probably call a couple plays, get everything set, and the big key is just do not turn the ball. That is the only way you would have given Washington a chance to see the ball at the end of that game. And the stupid excuse that we didn't call the timeout because we didn't want Washington setting their personnel is absolutely stupid, because just the drive before that he clearly saw that did not matter. You clearly saw on 4th and goal, Penix was able to make it work. So this one we didn't want them to get set in their personnel. It's bullshit. Because it also costs you to not be able to get set in your personnel to be able to go and really put a stamp on this game. Because let's say, okay, you could have gotten a completion in the middle of the field. Let's just give it 10, 15. Then you're at the 40. You're almost at about where the kick took place. You still have another timeout. So, okay, then you get up to the ball. You spike it. And let's say you spike it with about 19 seconds left. At the, you know what? We'll say the 45-yard line of Washington. then at that point, you know what you could have done? Because you still have another timeout. You don't even got to waste the timeout. Get out there. You could have thrown another completion in the middle of the field for about 15 yards, and then maybe you take your time out there. Or you could have gotten out of bounds, thrown a ball out of bounds. Sideline route to Drake, it was working all night. Comebacks, corner routes, you name it. Yeah, that dude Davis from Washington, he could not hold up against Mooney or Drake. So, however you break this thing down, this was a disaster for the Falcons. And the fact that I can figure this shit out, and I've never had any coaching experience in my life, I can figure this out. But Raheem Morris can't, shows that we made the wrong hire. We made the wrong hire. There were a lot of people in this fan base and a lot of people in Flowery Branch that did not want Bill Belichick here. They were scared of the idea of Bill Belichick coming in, including Rich McKay, Terry Funk. Because you know what Bill Belichick would have done? He would have told them, and they know this, what y'all are doing is not sustainable. You need a culture change. And Belichick would have brought that culture change. Instead, they made, in a cycle where you had Ben Johnson, you had Slowick, Mike Vrabel, you had Harbaugh out there. Now, I think we all knew Harbaugh was going to the Chargers, but it still would have been worth a shot to at least make it a run at Harbaugh. And maybe they did, but ultimately he just said, listen, I respect it. Los Angeles is where I need to be. Okay. You had Bill Belichick for 2 interviews. First one was on Arthur Blank's guy. I'm sure it's just him and Arthur Blank. All these other interviews, they took place either by Zoom or they took place most of them probably took place by Zoom because of all of the rules about interviewing the head coach. This right here, the interview, it was just Arthur Blank and Bill Belichick on that guy. And Belichick probably told him the vision, probably told him what he was going to come here and do and the certain control that he wanted. Now, is Bill Belichick a great drafter? No. I can understand that. But is Terry Fontenot a great drafter? We've seen what? 4 draft classes? And typically the rule is you have to wait 2 to 3 seasons before you get a real verdict. The first draft class was an absolute bust. Kyle Pitts, even though, maybe I can't handle Kyle Pitts as much today because he caught that touchdown. See, that's the thing with Pitts. This is what he does. Just when you're ready to throw the cannon on him, he comes out with one of these types of games where maybe he's just good enough where he can stay another year. He can't keep being cold. This guy, I love what Rodney Harrison said in the pregame. This guy is too big to be playing that soft. This dude is fucking huge. And he's playing like a big old tape. But that whole entire 2021 draft class is full of a bunch of busts. Maybe Drew Dahlman, you can say that at the same time. I need Dahlman to be more consistent with his snaps. But Richie Grant, bust. God damn, what was that third round? That motherfucker from Michigan, that bust. Ogundeji, bust. Frank Darby, bust. Full of a bunch of busts. And Kyle Pitts, bust. I'm not gonna be fooled by what I saw last night. I'll give him that. He hit on Drake London. Arnold Ebiketie, that's one of the toughest ones to judge because you see he has the tool. You see that Ebiketie could really be something if he just put it together for a whole year. But he's not able to. He has these little streaks he goes on. So I'm not going to call him a plus yet, but I need him to be more consistent. Roy Anderson, plus, can't stay on the field. Desmond Ridder, we know the answer to that. D'Angelo Malone. Now look, that penalty last night, that clearly changed everything because I think a lot of people, really want to look at that. Yes, that was the start of the downfall. Because no, if that's never called, we got to sack there, we get the ball back, and maybe we keep running the ball. Maybe we're the ones that have a dominant third quarter, and at that point, Washington really may not have any line. But when you look at the end of this game, I can't hold it on Malone that much, but Malone has been so inconsistent. And why the hell you even have him in coverage? But Malone, I feel like he's a solid special teams player. He'll be here another year. But is he going to amount to anything as far as a pass rusher goes? No, I don't think so. Now, Tyler Algier, yes, hit on that. Even though I really don't know if that's saying much either because we've seen you can pick a running back up in the 7th round and he can hit. But yeah, Algier, I'll give him that. He hit that. Let me pull up the entire track. Okay, so we went Drake, Ebiketie, Roy, Ridder, Malone, Algier, Justin Schaefer, bust, Fitzpatrick, bust. But I mean, you got to keep in mind with those 7th round guys, they're never really supposed to be out. The best they can amount is really backups. 2023. Bijan, okay, he hit on Bijan. Bergeron, I'd say he hit on Bergeron. I'll give him Bergeron. I still feel like Bergeron's a little rough around the edges, but I feel like next year you give him that 3rd year. I like what I see out of Bergeron. Zach Harrison, that's really one of those unknowns. I would like to see him get more play time, but at the same time, there's got to be a reason you're not getting out on the field. But Zach Harrison, see, this 2023 draft class is really, kind of still. I think by this time next year, we'll have a good idea on a lot of them. Clark Phillips, I don't know why the hell he wasn't out there last night instead of Jalen Collins. Because he offered at the Jalen Collins Super Bowl type game last night. Zacchaeus was eating his ass up all night. So why the hell? And it wasn't just in the second half, it was the first half too. Why the hell didn't you have Clark Phillips out there? Helms, he's really not been out on the field. I feel like he could be something, but he's not really out on the field much. When he's a backup, he's about what you expect for a 7th round pick. And then this year, Penix, obviously it's still too early to tell in the long run, but I think you hit on that. I think he's a franchise quarterback. Drew, I'm excited to see where his development goes. Braylon Price, next year is really going to be his rookie year due to the injury. Brandon Dorley. Why the hell has Brandon Dorley only been active 2 games? He's a 4th round pick. He should be out on the field. Bertrand, was out there on the field last night. Of course, him being a rookie, they're going to pick on him. These other guys, McClellan, Washington, Lowe, but really but the first two, Terry does not really have a good drafting record so far. So you can say Bill Belichick is a great drafter. Who's to say Terry knows better? Now, everyone knows I've been a Terry guy for the longest. I was in full support. Matter of fact, I was in full support of them letting Terry pick his own guy. of basically giving him the power that Brad Holmes has in Detroit. And what's ironic is the Falcons were down to 2 Terry Fontenot and Brad Holmes. Look at what Brad Holmes has done in Detroit. I'll tell y'all something. There's the reason why. Brad Holmes, he's not going to take. Brad Holmes wants to be in charge. He wants to be in charge. He is in control of what the Detroit Lions do as far as football operations go. So that team in Detroit, that is Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' team. Now this team, yeah, it's Terry Fontenot's team. But Terry Fontenot, basically, what is he? I don't know. What is Terry Fontenot at this point? What is really his role with the Atlanta Falcons? Because there's several sagas that have unfolded recently with this franchise that I think leaves us with a lot of questions. The first big one was the Deshaun Watson saga, Matt Ryan, and how that went. Whose idea was that? I'm leaning towards Arthur Blank, but I don't know. I feel like that was Arthur Blank meddling there. See, this whole bullshit about Arthur Blank stays out of football operations, that's an absolute lie. Arthur Blank is just about like any other owner of a dysfunctional team. He's meddling in football operations. His old 82-year-old ass, do you think he knows everything in and out about the NFL? No. But he wants to be involved because he is the guy on top. So that was the first one. Okay, we'll lean it to Arthur. I definitely think that, yeah, Terry had to go along with it. We know that Arthur and Deshaun, Deshaun was a ball boy for us. Arthur probably was really enticed by that. So that Arthur Blank stuff, more and more I think about it, as much as Arthur Blank could talk about how loyal he was to Matt Ryan, that was the two-faced bullshit. Even though, I will say, I think Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot were looking to potentially get Matt Ryan out of it. I do. I think they were looking to get Matt Ryan out of it. When Arthur Blank came, so I'm actually going to maybe kind of take a step back on that. Yeah, I think it was Arthur Blank's idea. I think he got the fascination of it. I absolutely do. Terry Fontenot, there weren't. Mainly because of that contract. But that's the Deshaun Watson. Yes, I still blame Arthur Blank for that. But this is what I say. I would love to be a fly on the wall in Flowery Branch. I would. And the Falcons, one thing about them, you ain't going to know shit about what's going on. And it's going to leave you very fucking confused. Because who's really behind it? Who is really running the show in Flowery Branch? Second saga. The Bill Belichick. Now, we know Arthur Blank wanted Bill Belichick. We know that was his first choice. We know that's who he was enticed by. That is who he wanted to go get. And Bill probably was going to, say that, look, I want to stay in the draft. Now, is Bill Belichick a really good drafter? And we saw that in New England? No. But let's be completely real. Yeah, that probably would have been the one downside. Terry, you can take free agency, but I'm going to take the draft, or at least I'm going to bring my guy in that I feel comfortable with as far as scouting and drafting. So that was really creating a conflict of interest. And we know Rich McKay has no love lost for Bill Belichick. So, as ironic as it is, McKay is apparently no longer involved in football operations, even though as long as Arthur Blank is alive, Rich McKay is going to be in Rich McKay, I still think ironic that Rich McKay brought Raheem in, who Rich McKay obviously has ties to, not just from his last stint here in Atlanta, where he was the top lieutenant and didn't win anymore. Really, and also on the Tampa staff in the early 2000s when Rich isn't. I'm just saying. I absolutely think this Rich McKay is no longer involved. He's absolutely. He will always be involved until the day Arthur Blank dies. So, listen, I absolutely think a lot of people, from Terry to Rich to probably a whole lot of other people, talked him out of Bill Belichick because they knew their jobs were probably going to be. The Kirk Cousins deal, I think, is probably one of the most unknown. Realistically, I think it's easy for a lot of people to say, oh, it was Terry that talked him into it. But at the same time, and this is, what's so ironic, Arthur Blank, went after Arthur Blank, he wanted stability at the quarterback. And then he saw Desmond Ritter, he saw Taylor Heineke, and he said, get me a quarterback. And that's what they did. They went and they signed Kirk Cousins. Where is that really the case? Did Arthur Blank say, well, I want a quarterback, but there are several options out there? Was it potentially Terry that looked and said, Kirk Cousins is the best option? Even though you had Russell Wilson, who would have been only available for $1 million, is actually one. So it's very confusing. In love with Panic. And you on someone like a Gardner Minshew, maybe signing someone like a Jacoby Brissett for him to compete with the job for in camp. But let's be real. Penix could have been starting week 1. He could have. But what was the point in signing Kirk Cousins? That wants to lead me to believe that, yes, it was Arthur Blank, but listen. First of all, that doesn't give Terry Fontenot an excuse. Because this guy cannot draft. He can't draft. From what we've seen, he has had a lot of missed draft picks. Or is Terry Fontenot just the fall guy? Does Terry Fontenot in reality have a lot going for him? Is he just the fall guy? Question we got to ask ourselves: who is this William Flowery? I'm listening. Once again, as I've told y'all, I'm tired of just looking at Terry Fontenot. I'm looking at the big guy. I'm looking at Mr. Blank, and I'm saying, what is your role in all this? What are you directing your staff to do? But as far as last night goes, it was just absolutely embarrassing. how you don't have that mismanagement of time. You know what alley that was right up? That was right up the alley of another era in Atlanta Falcons football that, ironically enough, Raheem Morris was also mismanagement of time. That's always kind of been the thing with the Falcons. Mismanagement of time. And is he going to do with Mike Smith? You know what's really funny? How Raheem Morris will get up in a post-game press conference and say, "Oh, we could have called the timeout, but we didn't," and then proceed to say, "Well, the offense has to rush up." What do you mean the offense has to rush up? You had 2 timeouts. You had 2 timeouts. Why the hell does it make sense of the offense having to rush up? That's absolute bullshit in my opinion. The offense should not have to rush up. You should have called a timeout. You should have regrouped, got your strategy together. And then the odds are, because see, that kick, I think if you get him 5 yards closer, I really think he could have gone. It was, listen, for a journeyman kicker, it was a great kick. It was. Game on the line, you couldn't have asked for much better. The only thing he could have used is probably 5 or 6 yards closer, and it could have gotten. If you got that thing 10 yards closer, oh, there's no question. No question. So, that game never should have gotten overtime. I will say, I think and I'm not ranting on the overtime rules or anything. I think if we do win that coin toss, I think Penix could have marched us out the field and won. I think at that point in the game, both defenses were tired. It was almost midnight. Everyone was ready to go home. Yeah. I think Penix could have marched us down the field, but it didn't happen. One thing I will also say, though, in that second half, tackling has to be of the essence. The fact that you did not, and I'm not, and obviously this loss is purely on Raheem Morris not using a timeout with 30 seconds. But there were plenty of times in that second half where it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. And while, yes, what I am about to say could have absolutely blown up in our faces, at some point you got to take a big risk in big-time games. You are basically, honestly, asking to get beat by Jaden Daniels a lot of the time when you were playing a lot of that soft zone. You were asking for it. When you had him at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, close to midfield, why didn't you just send an all-out blitz? And there were a couple of times, okay, they did, but I'm talking you rushed 7, maybe 8, and whatever happens, happens. But someone's got to fucking tackle. That was the big thing. Someone has to fucking tackle. So, we need to realize that it's almost the same issues every year. It's almost the same issues every year. No matter who this coach is, no matter who the coach is, the culture remains the same with the Atlanta Falcons. We went from 6-3 and we're going to finish 9. That is absolutely ridiculous. And now we are put in a position where our only hope to making the playoffs is rooting for the Saints. That is actually some of the hardest shit that I think you could ever even fathom doing as a Falcons fan. But if we want to make the playoffs, that's what I can understand. But we have a year staring at Tampa Bay wins. Look, at this point, yeah, I think it's good. I don't think we're making the playoffs. And I hope I'm wrong, man. I do. I hope I'm wrong for several reasons. We haven't made the playoffs in 7 years. At this point, however we do it, I was kind of saying the same thing last year. See, this is the thing that pisses me off. This division, because talking about the NFC South, this is a division that really ever since Tom Brady retired has been up for grabs. Now, Tampa Bay has no doubt taken the mantle. Baker Mayfield went to Tampa Bay, proved that he can be a franchise quarterback, and has basically fit in perfectly. Tampa Bay plays with fire and they play with toughness, and they can be an absolute pain in your ass. But the sad thing is that we still have the issue isn't beating Tampa. It's not. The issue is not beating the Buccaneers. We did it twice this year. So the fact that Tampa Bay is still going to win this division is absolutely, it makes me want to. And that means this is going to be another off season. You got to sit through. And man, this off season, unthinkable doesn't happen Sunday. This is going to be on a very hard off season to sit through and figure out where the hell did it go wrong. Because now, and then it's going to be another off season of finding somewhere to hope that 2025 can finally be the year that all the bullshit ends and we finally get back to the playoffs. Now, there's one thing that gives me hope, and it is Michael Williams. I really feel like we got our guy. I do. And I feel like as long as he stays healthy, he is going to be a dog. But this is now 2 years that you have wasted your win. Let me explain this. Last year, we were expected to be a playoff team last year too. With Brady gone, it was really expected that the Falcons were going to compete in the NFC South. We're going to be contenders in the division to make the playoffs. That was the expectation. And we didn't need amazing off-the-world quarterback play. We just needed an okay quarterback. We could have gotten it. With the weapons that we had, and the O-line we had, and the running game we had, and the defense we did last year. And ultimately, we were in a spot last year where if we could, ironically, get the one loss out of the last 5 to 10, the only time we won 10, it was a very costly one because it gave Tampa Bay life. It allowed Tampa Bay to make a run and win the division. And that was 1 year wasted. And then we fired Arthur Smith. We brought Raheem in. We brought Kirk in. We brought Penix in. We thought there's certainly no way that this thing can go wrong. That Tampa Bay, they had their moment last year. This is where we're going to step up. This is where we're going to make the playoffs. Well, we were 6-3. It looked like we were well on our way to doing that. But then, got an embarrassing loss to the Saints, embarrassing loss to Denver. All of a sudden, Tampa Bay's back in. We embarrass ourselves. Then, struggle to win versus the Raiders. Then we beat the Giants. Tampa Bay loses to Dallas. We're back in first place 2 weeks ago. We control our destiny. Yes, last time happened. And now, this looks like another year of our window. Yeah, I think Kyle Pitts probably is gone. I don't think he can do that. You can't give him a second contract. Even if he is here next year, you can't. That's why I'd say don't take the risk. But next year, this time next year, you're going to have to start talking about paying great. Then, the year after that, you got to talk about paying Bijan. And looking at where both of them are going to want over $20 million. Look at where the wide receiver market is, and look at where the running back market is. And Bijan's probably on pace to smash the running back market. And then the year after that, I know it's still a long ways away. You got to think about him. They say, well, it's one next one. Not anymore. And then it's not just considering that. You're going to have to sneak a Jesse Bates extension in there somewhere. I'd go ahead and get that done this offseason. I would. I'd go ahead and give him another 4-year extension. However much money you want, you can get. Because even though you would have loved to see Jesse make a play last night, he's made so many plays for us, eventually someone else has to step up. And you still got holes on this team address Penix and Whiteside. Even though Gary has been okay, you can do that. And see, this is the thing that Travis came through last night. He made a great point. Imagine, everyone talks about Jamar Chase. Imagine if we had the names for that. By Kyle Pitts and in a uniform going down and dirty that face. Imagine what this one. And we're not even concerned about our whole line. You know, you gotta start talking about him and everything. Probably next year that's a conversation with that. That's the thing, man. It's very tough to really see because this is supposed to be the time where we are supposed to be making the playoffs in an NFC that, yes, Detroit, Philadelphia, you know, you can say Minnesota, you know, but it is wide open. This is, I think, a year where, you know, if you could have gotten things wrong, you could have made real progress. I'm not saying we would have won the Super Bowl this year, but this would have been at least a year to make progress. That is why I say listen, this is the only time in my life I'm ever going to say, I hope God the Saints win that. I hope to God they win next week. Number one, because yeah, I want to win this. I do. But number two, there's a lot of Saints fans out there who actually don't want the team to win. They're more obsessed with the Falcons than the playoffs because they know their teammates win the chance. So guess what? Yeah, I want the Saints to win because then it proves their people to even take problems. Because listen, no New Orleans fan can sit up here and say shit right now. Because their team is going to be in the dumpster for the next 3 to 4 years. Y'all put that rebuild off so long. Now y'all are about to be sitting in bed. I hope y'all win next week. I do. Week 18, anything can happen. Do I think it's going to happen? I hope it does. If it does, man, then hey, that's I'm eating my words. That's we're in the playoffs now. But where do we go now? Look, I think you realize that there's 1 week left in this season. I'm not concerned that you're going to lose Carolina, because even though I think you could apply the hope there is of the Saints coming out and players trying to play for roster spots next year, you can apply that same to Carolina. Chuba Hubbard is very valuable for the Panthers, and losing him is a very big deal. So I look at how Carolina did versus Tampa Bay, and I honestly feel like the Falcons can beat them pretty easy. I'm not concerned about that. What? Obviously, I think we're going to be watching what's going on in Tampa, because the thought is it's kind of the same spot of last year. Remember, we had to root for Carolina to beat Tampa, and ultimately they couldn't. I think it's probably going to be the same thing. I think regardless, the Falcons season will end as taking care of their business, unlike the Atlanta Falcons. And there's a lot of things we got to look at this offseason. Obviously, but you're gonna have to take a big dead captain for Kirk Cousins, and that probably means you're gonna have to end up, cutting bait with some of these guys. Now, I think some of these guys are definitely easier to cut bait. David Onyemata, yeah, he's gone. He cut bait. Who else is there? But Gary, I feel like you could upgrade there. Even though that is offensive line, I do feel like you could upgrade there. But man, it's a tough situation. It is. But regardless, it's going to be a tough offseason situation. And even though I say finish, excuse me, snap. But he's got a coach that help that, and a coach that, see, here is one thing about all these coaches the Falcons have had recently. They've all been smart in their own ways. All have had, a little bit of a smart attitude. Arthur Smith, he wasn't really a people person. I don't know if I just think he wasn't really a people's person. And he would get a little. One thing about Arthur Smith, though, is Arthur Smith was really critical of himself. That is one thing. I feel like Arthur Smith was always sitting there after games and sorrow from himself, but he wasn't looking for the answers of how do we get better? How do I get better? How can I prepare the team better? He just sat in his sorrow, and that's why really every year with Arthur Smith, you saw a mid to late season collapse where, maybe we perhaps could have been playing meaningful games late in the year, but we weren't, because once we got dealt that very hard loss, we didn't know how to respond. With Raheem, everything's good, man. It's gonna be all good. We know what we're doing. We're not playing anyone in the preseason. Just come out week one, man. Come out week one, man. And it sounds a lot like Dan Quinn, because it is. But there's at least a difference between Raheem and Dan as players. I don't think Quinn was even as smug as Raheem in terms of him thinking he knows. A lot of people like to call Arthur Smith a know-it-all, and I definitely feel like he was. But I feel like Raheem thinks there's nothing he can do wrong. Raheem just thinks, you could tell at the end, those final few weeks last year, especially after that Carolina loss, Arthur Smith probably knew that his time in the you could just tell how he was like, Raheem, I don't know what the fuck goes through his head. I don't ever see him communicating with the coordinator. I don't ever see him communicating with anybody. Now, as I'm going to say, Raheem Morris has committed plenty of fireable offenses this year. Is he going to be fired? I don't even think that thought was going through Arthur Blank's head. Now, I think Arthur Blank, he might be fuming at Terry Lott, though, but I don't think Terry's going to get fired either. I think what we're probably going to see is those two going into 2025, maybe. Because now, I will say this. I think for both of them, those seats have to be pretty lukewarm heading into next season. They have to be pretty lukewarm. And guess what? It's going to be a shit mess to navigate through this offseason. Between Kirk Cousins, between obviously the drafting, and you're not going to have a top 10 pick. They're right on that. But guess what? You're not in the playoffs either. You're really kind of in that no man's land where you're going to be picking, 17th, 18th in the draft? So look, it's really now the man, and you're not really even going to have much draft picks because you lost the third and you lost the fifth. Maybe you get a count pick. So you're really only going to have 6 draft picks unless you make some type of trade and you trade back and you recoup some other picks, or maybe you trade Kyle Pitts, see if somebody wants him. Because I think for the production Kyle Pitts has given you, you can easily get that out of a tight end bracket in the third or fourth round. I absolutely think so. Or you can pick one up and look at Johnny Smith. Look who we let go of. And look how he's falling out in Miami right now. So it's going to be tough. This offseason is going to be tough, man, especially if the unthinkable doesn't happen. Think about that for a second. Because I will say, I at least think if we could have gotten to it. I was a guy before the season. I think you got to get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. But if you could have at least gotten, there is something I think to show for the season in terms of you at least got there. You got the experience. Now we really have something that, okay, we're building. You're going to have this year a 6-3 start turn into a 3-5 finish. And it ended in 9-8. And I think the thing we're hearing is, well, look at 2015. I was talking to someone who said, well, this is kind of like the 2015. I can see that comparison. I can see it. And we know what we did in 2016. But are we just going off trip? See, even if that happens, that's the same old. It's the cycle with the Falcons. Yeah, maybe next year is the year we're due to make the playoffs. Maybe next year is going to be the year that we win the NFC South and we put together an 11-12 win season, and maybe we're capable of going on a run in the playoffs. That's about what the Falcons are. There's one team every 8 or 9 years that you look at and you say, man, they can be special. And it is. When are we going to change the culture? As Arthur Blank has gotten older, things have gotten worse. That I think he's got to ask himself, what am I doing with this? Isn't it ironic that this is going to be a 7th straight year missed the playoffs? And since then, in those 7 years, looking like 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, 9-8. Shit, perhaps they listen. If we do lose to Carolina next week, Raheem probably should be fired. But I don't think. We'll most likely say 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, 9-8. A 2-game improvement from what you've done the previous 3 years. It was not enough to win you the division and get into the playoffs, even in a shitty division. What a lot of people call the NFC South. Tampa still outran you. Your big thing was outrun the South. Yeah, you outran the South by week 9. What about everyone else? What about everyone else? Look, I can't even fathom having to do this Sunday. But yeah, I want the Saints to win. I can't go there. I can't say that shit yet. Yeah, I want the Saints to win. Number one, I'm tired of missing the playoffs. Even if it is a first round exit at this point, I'll take it. At least it's something to look forward to. Something is better than nothing. And then proves the Saints are too stupid to tank. It probably sets them back even more. Then they probably at that point have like the 11th or 12th pick. But listen, man, this was once again. Obviously, I had to let a lot of steam off. Last night, I was really somber. Today, really angry. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm probably going to be angry about this. The only why I can't, because ironically, the Saints do win. Which I will say, week 18, final week of the year, anything can happen. You can apply that to our game, too. I think we'll take care of Carolina. But I think Tampa Bay is going to take care of the Saints. I think they will win the South in 4 straight. And this year especially just because of the Falcons and competition. So listen, man. Obviously, it's gonna be a tough offseason. It really is. It's gonna be you're not gonna have the flexibility you've had in other years. You're gonna, have to probably make a few tough moves. Try to obviously fill out your roster. Maybe in a spot where you can make one okay signing. I feel like obviously what I've seen out of this pass rush is I feel like pass rush, obviously they've been better, but I need to see it. I still think, look, it's going to be going in a draft yesterday. And this draft is pretty heavy on pass rush. But let me say this. I feel like we've seen the Falcons at this point. And who's to say they don't? I could see them selecting an O-lineman with and I can't say it'd be the worst pick, but once again, I'm not draft defense, but he hasn't, at least in the first round. So defense obviously is going to be a big key. You could definitely, and you're going to get Braylon Trice back. Ebiketie, see if he can, actually continue to put it together. And you're going to need another pass rusher. Judon, I probably won't be back unless we agree to take like a very cheap. We're definitely going to need another corner because I told alongside a. Maybe that could be where I see us going. I could see us trying to pick another linebacker. Look, I feel like there's another linebacker to go alongside Hayden. Necessarily, I feel like he could fit. I just don't think. Where he really can. Yeah, linebacker's going to be a very big need for his choice. Man, listen. It's going to be tough. It is. But I'm going to close with this. This isn't new to us. And I do believe that eventually it is going to happen. I do. I think we got to. I think that's a good piece of the equation. But it is personally about, and I want to say one other thing too. I can understand why Michael Penix making it like it was his ability to take the time out and have 4 years. Okay, well, I absolutely think sure. From now on, if we're in those situations, that was his first big spot in the NFL. In those situations, I don't care what the fuck if Raheem says I want to be the only one taking the time out. I don't care. Fine. Call the timeout. I don't care what that motherfucker tells you. Because he calls everyone on that team that victory last time. With his stupid clock management. He did at the end of the first half too. That's what I haven't even talked about. This dude does not know how to manage the clock for shit. Just like Dan Quinn. Man. But we do have our quarterback, and I feel confident in and that does give me hope. I think that's a big thing. We have a coach that is actually going to win. I will say, if Raheem Morris stays, I believe it's going to happen. One of the requirements Arthur Blank should give him is that he has to, not even necessarily the Falcons hire a consultant, but Raheem has to go to his own personal consultant. You know who one of the top guys I would probably choose for that? Tony Dungy, the guy who was on last night on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, Dungy does a lot of things with him. He's with NBC now. But during the offseason, man, I think that should be one of the things. Make Raheem and Dungy, listen. It's not crazy to say. It's not crazy at all. You know, Tony Dungy, and even though I don't think Dungy was there with Raheem in Tampa, I definitely think they built a little bit of a relationship over the years. That should be one of the requirements. And Arthur Blank says, okay, you'll get another year, but you got to go to someone this offseason and really evaluate how you coach, how you approach things. Tony Dungy should be one of those guys. A guy who's won a Super Bowl, a guy who's played a big part in building a Super Bowl team. Tony Dungy should be one of those guys. Another guy I would potentially say is Bill Cowher. Another Super Bowl winning coach. Another guy who knows how to build a successful culture. I know towards the end of the Dan Quinn era, there was a strategy coach that would really talk through. See, that's the other thing, too. And also, I'm about to get out of here. Raheem, when has he ever communicated with anybody? Never. When do we ever see him going into that head? What the hell does he have it on for? One of the things, I'm literally about to get out of here, man. I'm about to get out of here, man. I'll let you on for a second.
All right. First of all, Raheem's gotta go.
Well, you know he ain't.
Man, where is Arthur Blank? Where the heck has he been at?
On his yacht. He's on his yacht, man.
I know what Arthur Blank's doing. He's too focused on Atlanta United than the Falcons.
Yeah, no, I brought that up last night, man.
When he's gone or passed out, his sons will take over. His sons are gonna take over the same team.
Yeah, and we don't know where his son's priorities really even lie as far as the Falcons go. But I feel like
only hope.
And I'm about to get out of here. I'll let you say the final word. But I really feel like we got to look at this from the standpoint of Raheem. One of the and that's another thing too. Who's Raheem really speaks? One of the things is they've had Zach Robinson.
They're in the dang bye week. You should have switched the dang quarterback.
I personally feel like next year, one of the things he should be down on the field. Should be one of the Zach Robinson. He should be down on the field, and the Falcons should bring guys in.
Why?
As far as Jimmy Lake goes, look, when Jimmy Lake said Hayden Ellis is playing some good off-ball linebacker ball, that should have gotten him fired on the spot because the dude clearly does not know what he's talking about. So I said you need to get Jimmy Lake out, and I said you need to bring someone. Look, even if you got to promote your great defense coordinator, or bring, listen, I love what C-Dub said last night. Bring someone like Chuck Smith in here, someone who is a great pass rusher.
Who?
Knew how to, Chuck Smith, a former Falcons player, coach for the Baltimore Ravens. He works with these boys on the pass rush. Bring him in here and make Raheem build Cowher and really go to their school of coaching in terms of how you need to.
Why the freak is Zach Robinson always in that booth?
Yeah, exactly. Zach Robinson, he's in the.
He ain't doing crap but calling play. He needs to be down this next game. He needs to be on the field. Where is Terry during the game?
Really communicating with.
Where's Terry been during the game?
Off rookie quarterback.
I didn't see the heck out of him at all. We built this franchise to win. We built this franchise to win. Blah, 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 blah.
Carolina does not win on Sunday. This is going to be a very tough offseason.
I mean, I don't think it would be Carolina. The main focus, the Falcons. Yeah, one more word. The Falcons, the Saints, they gotta do something. Against the Bucs.
Yeah, man. All right, man. I appreciate you for coming on. I'm gonna. Your audio really wasn't the best, so definitely I will work on that. But I'm about to get out of here, so I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, man. Look. I feel like it's one of those tough situations, man. It is. Later in the week, I'll probably talk about the Carolina game. Well, I really don't know if there is to talk about that game. I'll do something later in the week, man. And obviously, most likely, Sunday will be the final game of the season. 1 o'clock on CBS in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Let's hope it's not. Listen, let's hope that New Orleans can pull off the upset. But I truly, honestly believe that at this point in time, was another we have going into this offseason. But with that being said, I will see you all in the next hope at maybe 2025 is finally the year that the Falcons can snap out of the bullshit, but nothing's guaranteed. Happy New Year's, everyone. See you.